everyone. Welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers, seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Melissa, you have been super busy lately.
I know, I'm having so much fun.
How is the you're doing like professional development?
Yeah.
Like a group activity kind of thing for a pretty big organization.
Yeah, actually for several of them. It's funny, like since the pandemic, everybody wants to get back together in groups. It's funny because people still are saying, oh, everyone's avoiding it. They're not. They're trying to, all the leaders and owners and presidents of companies are trying to get everybody back together again and work together in big groups.
Not that people are people might be avoiding a little bit full back in the office. Like
yes, that's true.
That's true.
Yes.
Like they want hybrid still or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yes,
I agree.
Personal flexibility.
I don't observe people in business trying to avoid like getting together as a group.
No, they're
in fact, we want to get together. Yeah,
right. That's exactly my point. Yeah, exactly. Yes, you reframed that better.
So your business is interesting to me sometimes because like you go through these things where you're like, oh, we're doing strategic planning, and now we're doing one-on-one coaching, and now you're doing these group
big
professional development events.
Yep, again, which is what I did for years and years and years. And then probably in the last 5, it sort of, I kind of shifted more to coaching and then the pandemic. And now it's like, wham, I am getting my phone's off the hook with people trying to do these big events. So I always want to tell you this, like, oh, okay, yeah.
Well, I was just curious, like, how do you do a group professional development event? Like, what are the things that you do?
Yeah. Well, I have a number of focuses that I like to do, but I always ask the leader. It starts with whatever the leader says their people need. And a lot of times they'll not exactly know. So I'll ask a bunch of questions, just like what's your team dynamic? What would you like to change if you could change anything? What do you think your group is needing to be focused on? And does your group agree with you? So I ask a bunch of those questions, and usually it ends up being kind of a handful of the same stuff, usually communication's always at the top of the list, always at the top of the list. And it can be communication with our leaders need to be better. It could be our leadership teams don't work well together or could be better. It's usually not, people don't usually come to me because stuff is broken. They're usually coming to me because they just want to improve on something that's already ready to get improved, right?
Yep.
And so it'll be a whole host of things, just basic leadership. How do you build influence? So there's a number of things like that. So I usually do an interview with people, and then I put together like different activities and things to help people practice and, just be in the room together and learn by having some fun, right? And by focusing on their actual application instead of, okay, everybody turn to page 6 of your training manual.
Much more like you're much more interactive, right? It's like
totally, yeah.
Cool.
Much more real.
Yeah.
I think that's been my huge focus in the last couple of years is to help people be more real, especially in leadership.
So this is not like you're not doing like trust falls and all of the other
not yet
team building things we
never
make fun
know.
of.
Trust falls. Yeah. Here's a huge ball of yarn. Okay, everybody stand in a circle. No.
Yeah.
No. If I ever run out of ideas, hey, who knows? Maybe the yarn will come out, but I really doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it.
But I did have some really cool thing happen. I want to just kind of tell you about this because one of the things that you and I have been working on over the last several years is the self-awareness journey, right? And so when we have these kinds of conversations, lots of times I'm translating these pods. I'm translating these topics into what does this look like for a group of people, like in a room for a day? Like, how do you take some of these key practices and principles and turn them into some sort of event, some sort of activity within an event to help people really see the realism, you know?
Oh, sure. Like, yeah, like we can talk about it on the pod. People
Yeah.
can listen to it and reflect themselves. But
Right.
how do you turn one of our topics into like a activity? That's really
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, a real lesson. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that I found myself saying over this last few years is really talking a lot about personal brand. And personal brand applies to every single human being. You know, like even small children have a personal brand. And so I've been doing these activities with teams and with people, helping them first of all understand what personal brand is. But then what is theirs? What is your personal brand? You know, like how do people see you? How do you show up? How do you dress? How do you walk? How do you talk? How do you remember other people or don't remember other people? You know, it's the pieces of you that really let people know who you really are.
That's interesting. Like I haven't really thought about personal brand a whole
Yeah.
lot. Like when I think about personal brand, I'm like, is that my personality? Is that my reputation? It's not really quite those things.
Yeah,
But
it's sort of a culmination of all
what
of
is
those
it?
things. It's sort
Yeah.
of the way I would describe it is your personal brand is what people expect of you, right? So when you walk in a room, people know who you are. They can tell by all sorts of things. It's the intuitive piece of human being. Well, it's the 87%. You know, we always talk about communication is 87% body language and the rest of it is verbal. It's sort of that. It's sort of that same energy that you use in communicating with people pushes out your personal brand. That lets people know what to expect from you and who you are.
Yeah. The other thing I get as a marketing person, I think that's funny. Like personal brand, like
Yeah.
not like we're trying to. Well, maybe like a little bit. We're trying to sell ourselves. Like what you're saying is like
Yeah.
what other people can expect from us.
Yeah.
When I think about brand, I always think about like
Yeah.
a product and product positioning and like how we're articulating
Yeah. Oh, so well
value
said.
of a brand.
Oh, so well said. Same thing.
But you can apply that to yourself.
I love how you worded that. I should start really using some of that vernacular because that's so good.
Like marketing terms.
No wonder I don't use those terms. I've been in sales my whole life. I've avoided marketing forever.
But it's not like in a, I don't know, it's not like in a disingenuous way. It's not like
No, not
when
at
you talk
all.
about
No, uh-uh.
personal brand, you're really more talking about like, hey, let's really just discover what your
Yeah.
personal brand is. Not
Yes.
like let's
Yeah.
create a facade and push that
Oh, no,
out.
exactly right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy though because we all have a personal brand. We all do.
Whether we like it or
already
not,
do.
right?
Yes. But
Well, I mean,
you know,
whether we're aware of it or not, we have
That's it
one.
right there.
Yeah.
That's it right there. Okay, so this is the crazy thing. So I think this would be a really interesting activity. This would be something really interesting to take leaders through and see if what their personal brands are. And so I put them through a I gotta just try to get through this without laughing.
She laughs menacingly.
So what I do is I talk about personal brand from the perspective of what is yours, and so then we do things with what are your personal values, your core values, what are your use all sorts of different sort of tethering things to help you understand what your personal brand is. But the first thing I will tell you is I was absolutely blown away by how many people who are really good people, strong leaders, had no idea what their personal brands are. None. And I would tell you that was the majority. That is the majority. People don't think about what their personal brand is. And even if I ask or say something and start to describe it, most people are like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I can totally see that. That's hard. That's a hard thing to think about.
You think so too? Mm-hmm. Really? Okay,
I'm
so
just
what do you...
really hoping you don't ask what my personal brand is right
I was just going to
now.
ask you, what do you think your personal brand is? I was just going to ask. Seriously, come on. You have to know what some of the markers of your personal... Okay, you guys, I got to just tell you. JJ's swinging back and forth in his chair.
This is my like nervous, like...
His face just got a little red.
My personal brand is I hate being on the spot with this sort of stuff.
That is your personal. That is part of it.
You could just tell me what my personal brand is.
That would be way
easier.
too easy. Right. Okay, well, you think about it for a minute. Let me just tell you one of the exercises that I had people do, okay? So, and I'm just laughing because I just came off of a 4-session event in which we were doing these conversations around personal brand using a number of topics that I've already mentioned. And what I had people do was create a 5-minute speech about what their personal brand is, who they are, what their personal brand is in leadership. And I cannot explain to you how absolutely freaked out people became. And it became conversations like, well, what my personal brand, do you mean at work or at home? Or like, what do you mean? Right.
Yeah.
And so it's a great awareness. It's a great opportunity to have a conversation about, people think that they show up a different way at work than they are at home. There's lots of conversation around that all the time whenever this topic comes up. And I'm going to just tell you 99% of the time, you really don't.
Yeah. Yep. You might try, but you don't.
But you don't. And you may be thinking that you're really, really fooling the crowd, right? Or holding yourself away from others at work and wanting to maintain your privacy by being, your loving self or whatever your more authentic, true self you want to save for at home. But it's amazing how much we are who we are, no matter where we go, there we are, right? So we did the speaking event, and these groups were straight up panicked about doing the speeches. And it was really interesting. My very favorite statement was a gentleman came up to me before the speeches, and he said, "My anxiety has been through the roof for 3 weeks since you gave us this assignment, and you have ruined my life."
Seems a little dramatic.
That's what I was laughing at. I'm like, you are a very capable, well-known leader.
Yeah, seasoned
Trust
professional,
me,
and this thing really knocked you right off your horse.
Anyway, and just the amount of angst and anxiety that people had. And I don't, when I chose that topic, I thought it would be easier for people. I really did. I thought, well, I'm not going to give them a hard topic. I'm going to give them something that's kind of this topic is a really interesting one because it can give you two chances to work on yourself. One, it gives you a chance to really delve into who am I? Like, what things matter to me in my leadership? Because we have been going through a lot of these exercises to help people understand what they value. So this part they already had. And I thought they've got that. And then the second thing it does is it gives them a chance to articulate that to others. And the more that you can articulate what your personal brand is, through verbally, it helps people understand you, and it helps you also sort of frame what you want people to see and tell people why you do the things that you do.
Yep. That makes, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like if we kind of know what each person's kind of personal brand is in our organization, and we actually kind of intuitively know, we just don't really, I'd say we don't really articulate it with words very well.
Right.
But I know, in my team, when I need to just generate ideas, I go to a particular person because their brand is ideation. When I just need to get some stuff done, I go to somebody else because I know they are the guy that just plows through the hard work diligently, right? So we know these things, but I love this idea that you're actually making them more explicit and bringing them out with words.
Yeah. And so this whole exercise I thought was going to be a great exercise in allowing the leader to tell other people who they really are.
Except what you're doing,
turns out
what you're doing is ruining lives. For such good coaching.
And then laughing. Oh dear.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man. No, but here, let me. This is a really important thing.
Okay.
I thought this exercise was going to be a very well-rounded exercise, which it was. I was looking forward to people having a new tool that they could articulate their personal brand to those around them, which they did. But here's the biggest, coolest thing that happened that I thought would be a byproduct. I didn't think it would be the main thing. The main thing is it showed people for themselves. It showed people who they really were for themselves. It helped them claim who they really are. And it was so powerful to watch. It was so powerful to watch. The last group, that was just a couple days ago, they were not looking forward to the speeches. There were around 50 of them, 50 people. When they finished the speeches, we went on and did several other activities throughout the day. And it was a really full day. And it was just a really cool day on communication. And at the end, I had everybody go just round robin, really quick, say something that they learned from the event. Over 25% of the room said, I loved the speeches.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. And when I asked why, they said it really helped me understand that I don't know the people that I'm around like I thought I did. That was their biggest takeaway, and that they learned so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And the gentleman who said that I ruined his life, he came up to me at the end and he goes, you didn't really ruin my life. And I said,
came around.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that. Yes, I know that.
Well, what a great activity to do with a group of people. I mean, like you said, like giving them like the self-awareness is a really powerful thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at our conversation. Like, all kidding aside, we talk about personal brands. We've been talking about it now for a few minutes, and how you and I, we even being so focused on self-awareness and constantly working on it, constantly forefront in the mind, reading articles, sending each other stuff, creating podcasts. And yet when we both are faced with this, how we both hit like almost this little wall comes up. Like, what do you mean? What is I don't know. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a really interesting part about how, we always talk about how like the brain is kind of lazy, right? It tries to just do the easiest thing possible.
Yeah.
And a lot of this work when you are kind of thinking about yourself, it's like a lot of brain work. Well, yeah, like you're gonna say like there's a lot of heart work, but for me it's like a lot of brain work.
I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
But to me, it's like, oh, I really have to actually sit here and really reflect on this quite a bit before I can actually articulate what I'm feeling. So, so I can see why it would cause like a lot of anxiety for people to tackle, and like me included, because it doesn't feel to me like a thing that I can just spout out. It feels like a thing I need to contemplate before I would answer.
Well, all right. Let me ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Let's find your personal brand.
Oh, fun.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to do a 5-minute speech, or do you just want to talk a little? I'll send you the instructions after this. All right. Let me just ask you this. What's something that you love to do at work? Something you love to do at work?
I love building things. I love coming up with ideas. I like motivating the team. I like coming up with like the vision and the product and the things we're building.
How do you know you like it? How do you know you like those things?
Well, first, because I know it gives me energy, makes me excited. It's the thing I talk about all the time. And it's the thing I actually do.
Yes, precisely.
The things that are opposite of that, I tend to really, really procrastinate on.
Okay. And then out of work, what's something that you really, really enjoy?
It's pretty much the same list.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
exactly.
Right? What did I tell you I did last night? I like working on fixing this motorcycle, right? That's just like me working on building stuff.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so if you were to articulate that into a personal brand, like, what do you think you would say? You just said it. You just literally said it. You said like 3 major things.
Ideas and building stuff
Yeah, and motivating others.
and motivating others.
Yeah, and
Yep.
being creative. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean and by the way, that is totally your personal brand. Like everybody knows
Everyone
that's
knows
what
it.
you're going to do. Everybody knows it. And sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a stressful thing, right?
Yep.
Because sometimes your team will be maybe stuck in one direction or not wanting to do something or want to do things the way they've always done it. And you'll just come in and in a single sentence, just sweep away all of that and let's just blow this up and start over. You do that. And that's
yeah.
what you're known for doing.
That is true.
But that's right. Exactly. And
Yep.
that's how come the company has done so well.
Yep.
That's how come you've started other companies. That's how come you've become a pilot.
Yep.
Like all of these things, right? It's because of your interest in those pieces. And so for some reason though, like those are your not only things you love and that give you energy, you're really good at all of those things too, because you practice them all the time because you love them. Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's like for me, I love being with people. I love working with people. I love seeing people get better at something that they were stuck on. Like I feel so energized after a coaching call where I had such a strong connection with someone. Like I absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I just love it. I love walking out of that leadership room with 50 people when they are high-fiving and hugging each other saying, wow, I really didn't know that about you. I really loved that. I mean, man, that feels so good to me,
Yeah.
you know?
That's awesome.
So that's my personal brand is connecting with people and being authentic.
So we just went through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just went through this together.
Yep.
So how can if our listeners want to kind of like work on their personal brand other than just sitting themselves, how can they explore that? Should they go ask other people? What do you think?
I think that they can ask other people, but I think it's actually a more valued exercise to just sit down and sort of think about what is it that they love when they're at work? What parts do they really love and why? And how do they know they love it? Like what gives them energy? What makes them feel good? And at home too, what are the things and are they really that different?
Yeah, I like that part because the idea that you are separating, you have a different kind of persona for work and home, like we've talked about, isn't really true. And that it's very possible that even if you're trying to suppress that, you might be doing something at home that is really part of you that you should bring to work.
Yes, there's no question about that. So I have to tell you that one of the individuals in one of my sessions contacted me like 3 days before the event, absolutely panicked. And this was a very analytical, younger gentleman that was scared to death to do the speech. And all in his head, just analytical. He had pages of notes about what he could write and just didn't know what to write. And so I hopped on the call with him and for 10 minutes and just sort of steered him in a direction to help him streamline. And the way he presented, he was absolutely terrified to speak. We went around the room, everyone did their speaking events at their tables. And when it came time for the exercise to be done, I had asked him the night before, because he showed up a day later. He sent me his speech and it made me cry. It was so beautiful. And I asked him if he would be willing to share it with everybody. And he said yes. Okay. So at the very end, to close on the whole experience, I again kind of gave him the eye and I gave him an out. If he chickened out, didn't want to, it'd be fine. And he shook his head yes. And he stood up in front of that room and he delivered the most powerful, emotional speech that brought everyone to their knees. And here was a guy who was so scared because he was shy, introverted, and his entire story was not about work. And he had always kept it very separate in his mind. And the stories he gave were personal stories about why the hardships that he had had. And he brought it back home saying, I want my personal brand as a leader to be somebody that no matter what will be there for everyone else.
Wow.
In good times and in bad times. When things are really bad, I want to be the leader that everyone knows will still be standing and they can lean on me.
Wow.
And I was like, that is the most powerful example of understanding who you are and being willing to explore it. And what a gift he gave himself and what a gift he gave other people.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, amazing job, like with your group events here. This is awesome.
I'm having so much fun.
Very, very cool.
Anyway, but yeah, I would do that, like just to bring it home. Like what you were saying is just explore some of the things that mean something to you, and ask yourself why. Why does that matter to you? Why does that mean something to you? Because if you do love something, it's almost like the more you love it, the greater the expression of it externally too. And people can see that and they love that about you. Like everybody has something different that people love about you,
Yep.
So anyway,
amazing.
I've had a great couple of weeks, and I don't know, I just love this idea of personal brand. We've all got one, and I think it's so cool for us to actually understand what ours is.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.